Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. I am so psyched we have Michelle Lewis on today. If you don't know who Michelle is, you need to start following her. She's a visibility expert and podcast host, and she helps female entrepreneurs with their systems, branding, and live streams. So we are covering a whole bunch of cool stuff today. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Jen, thank you. I am so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a joy connecting with you over the last month. You know, I love your business partner, Angie, to death, and she would not stop talking about you. She's like, you need to know Jen. You guys are the same person. So it's so awesome to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my God, I love it. Yes, we're quickly learning that we are very much the same, kind of like my California twin. But I would love for you to just kind of jump in and kind of fill us in on a little bit about your story and anything we didn't cover in that quick intro. So who is Michelle Lewis?
Who is Michelle, this mystical creature? No, I grew up in Los Angeles, California. Both of my parents worked in TV film, so that was kind of my world growing up. I followed my dad on film sets, shooting movies like Mission Impossible 2, Face Off, Paycheck, Wind Talkers, and absolutely fell in love with the movie business. My dad he worked with a lot of child actors, so he saw how messed up they got. So he was like, Michelle, you're not getting into film, like never, right? Which made me want to do it even more.
Of course.
But he would let me get into acting. And so I spent so much of my time in my youth, like outside. We had a lot of animals. I grew up like doing competitive horseback riding. And I'm so glad that he put that boundary on me, because when I was finally ready to start after high school, I got my degree in film and started working as a stand-in on shows like Chuck and Pretty Little Liars and Melrose Place, and finally decided that the 14-hour days on film sets were a little bit too much. I married a cameraman, and so we were like, you know what? I think it's time for me to take a step back and start going into the entrepreneurial space. It was more of my personality. I really enjoy being my own boss and creating every single day. I'm a createaholic. And so that's kind of how it all started. I thought I was going to be a health coach, but then a friend of mine who was a fellow entrepreneur sat me down for coffee and was like, why don't you teach people how to do video? And I said, well, because everyone knows how to do that. It's like not hard. And she's like, Michelle, not everyone knows how to do video. So that's what started Visibility Vixen, and that's what I'm doing now full time.
Oh my God, I love it. I didn't know that you started with the idea that you were going to be a health coach.
Yeah, I got my doctorate in a natural medicine called Rheumatology right after college. And so I thought, like, I really enjoy this. I really want to be able to teach this, but I do still do it like here in LA with a couple of patrons, but it just wasn't my zone online. It just never really totally fit. And like, you'll find that as an entrepreneur, you're going to have like 8 different specialties. You're going to be a genius at a lot of different things, and you're going to use all of those in your business, but in different ways.
Oh my gosh.
So I used it more in branding and that kind of stuff, which is fun.
Amazing. You know, I began performing in the theater world, and my transition I've shared before of how I kind of found entrepreneurship. For me, it was this decision of, you know, I don't want to be waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and waiting on a cold city corner to get seen at a cattle call audition like that, to sing 8 bars, which for those of you who maybe are not familiar with music, it's literally like 10 seconds of music and then like, okay, thank you, bye. And I saw so many of my friends who were actors struggling to make ends meet in between jobs. They were waiting tables, and I just knew I could not spend another day in a restaurant gig. It was just like, this is sucking my soul, and I had to get out. And so that's when I kind of went all in on entrepreneurship. But I'm curious to hear what happened for you and how you found your way into getting bit by the entrepreneur bug.
Well, you know, like I never got exactly what I wanted in film and TV. I did, you know, I tried out for so many different parts, and I'd get one here or there, but it was hard for me to find when I would sign with an agent, it's like then I wouldn't hear from them for 3 months and they wouldn't get me auditions. It's really a challenge here in Los Angeles. And I thought like, okay, if I can't get that with the different connections that I've made over my lifetime, like this is just not a door that's opening. And I am a firm believer in God. I believe he opens and closes doors. And so I went, okay, well then maybe I'm going to step into music because I loved writing music. And I recorded a full album, and it was on the show Pretty Little Liars twice. I didn't think I would have a problem getting signed, right? And I could not get signed to save my life. So I felt like, okay, that door's closing. So then I wrote a TV pilot called Studio City, and I starred in it and produced it. My dad directed it. It was such a great time. My husband recorded it, and we went and pitched it to all these different networks, and all of them said no. One of them did take the idea and shoot a pilot called Studio City, which failed. But so it was just like opportunity, 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 closed door, closed door, closed door. And I think that a lot of us have gone through that in our lives in whatever way. And definitely you go through the heartache of like, but I thought this was my mission. I thought this is what I was supposed to do. And now I just feel like crap, and it's embarrassing. All my friends and family have watched me fail. Like, all of that is totally normal. And I felt that too. But I knew that there had to be a reason. I knew that every single path that I took, be it getting my doctorate in this or my degree in this, like, just because I'm not exactly doing what I thought I was supposed to do doesn't mean that I'm not going to use those skills. So long story short, even though it's kind of already long, my dad one day told me, he's like, why don't you just write an ebook? Like, we'd seen a lot of ebooks online, and he said, just write one. And so I decided to write one. And that's what made me start opening up my eyes to what was possible online. So I created a health course for my first course, and just started discovering the world of Facebook groups and all of this, and thought, like, this kind of a business is how my brain works already. And so being able to bring all of those skills to be able to help other people and go, okay, this doesn't have to be a confusing process for you to be visible. I was able to use every single skill on my path. And then I just started to fall in love with it and start utilizing all of my gifts. So that's kind of how it all happens.
Oh my gosh, I love this. This is something that I am so hugely passionate about, and I'm so glad that you just kind of walked us through this, through your story, to really illustrate the power of this, because I talk about it a lot, and it's really this idea of, you know, we have all of these amazing gifts, and so many people want to compartmentalize themselves and say, well, I'm a health coach, so my health coach stuff goes in this box, and maybe I was an actor, so being good at video goes in this box. And the moment that you're able to blend those things together, that's when you really find that magic. It's really having those 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 creative ideas, skills that you have, and being able to blend them. And I was like, it's the expertise sandwich. So
it is,
you know, right?
I love it.
Yeah, it's just that blend. So for you, I love that that's like the moment that you really found your perfect blend of things. Do you have any advice for people who feel like they are just a business coach or just a health coach or just an actor or whatever?
I think you can put a title on anything and anyone, but the only thing that sets you apart is your story. That's the only thing that's going to make people really resonate with you. Stay on your list. Stay in your Facebook group. Keep listening to your podcast. They need to be able to relate to you as a person. And it's like, for me, even in some of my email sequences, I talk about my pug Oliver, or I talk about my history in competitive horseback riding. Like, you know, you never know what aspects of your story are going to resonate with somebody. And that's what makes you different. So if you are a health coach, like, that's wonderful. I would suggest maybe getting a more independent title. Really start writing down your gifts. Like, a practice that I have my girls do is just write down 50 of your strengths. And it sounds easy, but when you actually put a pen to paper, you're like, what do I put down?
Am I good at anything?
You really have to dig into, what are your talents? What are your skills? What are you naturally good at? Like, even just this last year, I've realized that I'm really good at connecting. Like, for some reason, there's not the barrier that a lot of people feel between me and seeing an entrepreneur I really admire. I'm able to get to them somehow. I wouldn't call it quite stalking, but I really enjoy connecting with people, and I don't have a huge fear around sending messages or picking up the phone or whatever. So that's just a natural skill, and you have skills too. It may not be the exact ones, but just start writing them out, and then you're going to start figuring out from that what your business pillars are going to be, and that just really starts you on a really firm road of visibility. Because, like Jen said when she guested on my podcast, the biggest problem is that you're stuck in confusion. And clarity is king. Clarity is going to save you every single time, because if you're able to get your mission out there with clarity, that's what makes you that forward moving train that other people want to jump onto and follow.
Amazing. Amazing. And I love that your whole business and your business name is all structured around this idea of visibility. And a lot of people may be sitting there going, well, am I being visible, or how do I become more visible? So if you would, I would love for you to just kind of explain what your interpretation is of visibility. So that's kind of, I guess, like the umbrella that you're either being visible or you're not. But what are some things, like fear of visibility is the byproduct of what?
Wounds, I would say, usually wounds and traumas. We all at some point have been convinced that we are not worthy and that we don't have value, whether it's from parents, friends, relationships, workplace. We've all had that wound and we've picked it up at some point. And that's usually the biggest problem. I know for me, when I was 14, my dad let me sign up for this acting class with one of his friends who was a really renowned acting coach and actress at the time. I was so excited because my dad was letting me kind of get in front of camera. Oh my gosh, right? And I had so much invested in it because I was bullied very heavily in middle school. So my identity was really weak. And so this was so affirming to me. And I had 2 classes with her. And she pulled me aside after the last class and said, with your figure and your, skin issues and stuff, I really just don't think this is the path for you. I'm sure she was trying to do it out of the niceness of her heart, but where I was at the time, it was a huge, devastating blow. And it affected me for years and years, which is why I became a stand-in. So I was in front of the camera, but not when it was actually recording. So very sneaky, right? So I think we all have those kinds of setbacks at some point, that when we're trying to bring visibility to our business, it's like, why isn't this catching on? Or like, I'm doing the videos or I'm doing the posting consistently, but I'm just not seeing the numbers grow. Like, why? And we torture ourselves because we're under such high expectations. So I always take, if someone's coming to me for the first time and saying, where do I start? It all starts with self-work, because the body and your business, I would say, always follows the mind. So you really need to make sure that you've healed those past wounds to the best of your ability, which is why I still have that health course, Life Reboot, as my first step, because it's how to completely reboot your life in 30 days. Because a lot of times when you go through that work, your mission changes, because it goes from like, how can I really like impress the most people and make the biggest impact? And then it changes into, what was the mission that I was sent here to do? And it takes a lot of uncovering of layers to really get into that deep purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
then they can go on and set up the systems and branding and stuff. But it really starts with addressing those wounds and traumas first.
Absolutely. I love that you begin with that place, because that really is the foundation of everything. If you don't begin with that and you don't have that self-worth, it's kind of like you're ready to paint the walls without actually putting up the sheetrock, right? So, it's just like, I'm just throwing paint around. How do you feel like being a performer has really armed you for entrepreneurship, maybe with the stamina and the practice? And I know that story that you shared, as an actor, you hear no all the time and you're openly criticized. So how do you feel like that has prepared you, or do you feel like it has prepared you?
I think some of it was innate. I remember being in a play. We used to do plays at my church. My mom would direct them, and I had this huge monologue, and I was one of the leads. I was a very competitive child. And so I'm in the middle of my monologue and the lights went out, and I just like held it. And the lights were out for about 3 minutes. I have no idea what possessed me to do this, but I'm just like, and then the lights came back on and I just continued right where I left off. So I definitely think some of it's genetic. If you're ever around my father, he's a huge performer. Like if he's on FaceTime, he knows that camera's on him and he's putting on a show. So I think some of that's in my DNA. But I think what helped me the most for this business, of course, like I did theater and I did work in front of a teleprompter. So it's really easy for me to do that part of my business. But being a stand-in, oh my goodness, it's like one step above me. Well, not really, because like with background, at least you're on camera, like you're fed and you go from here to there. As a stand-in, you're a part of the crew, but you're very low on the totem pole. You're like the lowest. And so you're in a way, and I don't mean this again meanly, if anyone here is listening and I've been on your show, I really enjoyed the experience. But as you can imagine, all you hear all day is being screamed at, second team, get to set. and you have the sides and you have to do the marks and stuff, but you're not the actor, right? You're kind of like a glorified prop in a way. So, and sometimes you have actors that value you and are like, okay, what are the tips for this scene? But that was one actress in my experience. The rest either ignored me or treated me very poorly. And so you have to get used to, in a way, being invisible. And as much as that was damaging until I worked on my wounds, it's been really instrumental for this business, because so much of building your visibility is you feeling invisible, because you're doing all of the groundwork, you're building all the systems, you're doing all the branding. You have to be really, really patient to see the outcome. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle, is they see these people that are, thousands of views and tons of money, and they're like, how am I never going to get there? It's like, you will, but you have to be patient, and you have to be willing to pay your dues, just like a stand-in who's trying to be an actress. So I think that was my best equipping past experience, for sure.
That's beautifully said. In both industries, it's really this idea of, in the beginning stages, for the first couple of years, 90% of the stuff that you do is behind the scenes. You are only getting up in front of people, or really getting to coach, or getting to perform in an audition room, or behind the scenes 10% of the time. But everything else, the systems, the learning, the training, the practice, that is the meat of the work. And then once you actually start to build that momentum, that ratio begins to shift, and you outsource and have a team of people who do the behind the scenes, and then you can be the star in front teaching in your zone of genius 90% of the time instead of 10%. So I think that that's a really, really great way of really framing that, because a lot of people are a little bit impatient with their progress in the online space. And this is something that I'm very passionate about. Why am I not there yet? And why can't I get there sooner? I know you help people with course content and creation. So what do you say to someone who wants to create a course before they've built an audience or done the emotional work?
I did the emotional work, but I did not have an audience when I started building courses. So I totally relate to this feeling. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, hey, create your sales page and pre-sell your course to validate the idea. That's totally fine. And that works for a lot of business models. It doesn't work for me. It never resonated with me. And I really wanted to build out my entire business model first. So it's something that a lot of people don't do, but some people do. So if you're like me, I totally relate to you. And if you're really in touch with your mission, if you know why you were born on this planet, who you are meant to reach, and what your 5-year goal is, build it the way you want to build it. Of course, you can be a part of a membership group or a course, or have some one-on-one coaching, and do whatever it is you need to do to have that inspiration and that guidance, but don't take it for gospel, because your business is going to be different. You're never going to be able to build it in the identical way that someone else does. And that was my biggest confusion. That's why for the first year I really struggled, is because I was trying, and not to copy, but I was like, you're
trying to figure it out.
Yes, following this path. And it wasn't right. Energetically, we don't have this. Each person's blueprint energetically is totally different than someone else's. So your past is what perfectly equips you for your mission. So you can't identify with someone else's story, because it's totally different. So you can take inspiration, but for me, I finally put my blinders on and went, I'm not going to listen to anybody right now. What do I feel? What are my pillars going to be? What do I want to create? And so that's why I'm finishing out my last course this month for live streaming month, but that'll be my 5th course. And it takes everyone through the journey that I want to take them through, so that then my next model for the next year can be a little bit more improved with public speaking and all that kind of stuff. So I think just really feel into what you're supposed to teach. Of course, you can validate your idea, test it in different groups and stuff, but really figure out what's going to make your message different. Don't obsess as much about, well, what if someone else has this same course and I need to go through that course and see exactly what they do so I can have the exact same steps. Like, no. Just do it the way that you want to do it.
Yes, there's no one right way to go about it. There's no one system or strategy, but this idea of just going inward and really trusting your intuitive side of, what do you want? What is your vision? What is your mission? I think that's, you said it all right there.
100%.
I love it.
It helped me so much.
Yeah, beautiful. So For you, what do you feel is the biggest lie about visibility?
I think I have a visibility training series around this because I was at a coffee shop one day and trying to figure out what do I want to talk to people about with visibility. And I was just really feeling into what are the pain points, what are the struggles. And I think, like we talked about earlier, everyone at some point has been deceived. You know, it's like we're born with this perfect diamond of who we are and what we're supposed to do. And our experiences, our pains, our wounds have like shoveled dirt over it. So we've forgotten that that exists. And so that starts to change our mentality when we're really concerned with what other people think and what does society think that I'm supposed to do in terms of work or education or with relationships. We get so distracted. I was in so much mud. Like if I try to think about my life at 19 or 20, it's like I can't even remember my mental state. I was so based on being validated by external sources. Mm-hmm. It took me a long time to get to the point where I am now to be super clear because I had to get down to that base layer. So I think everyone has just been, in a way, deceived and convinced that they don't have value, that they don't have a unique mission, and that they don't have an incredible purpose to be here on this planet, you know? Mm-hmm. And so once all of that is uncovered, it's pretty amazing when people start actually stopping, listening to all of the negative thoughts, the negative programming, the negative lies, and go, maybe there's a different way. Maybe I do have a purpose. Maybe I do have a mission. And what do I want to create? Because when you start thinking in that way, you're actually stepping into growth instead of being locked in protect mode, which causes all of your creativity to shut down. So I think that that's definitely the biggest lie that all of us have believed at some point.
I love that. This is so good. I think these beautiful listeners, they're going to be taking copious amounts of notes today.
Oh, I hope so.
I love it. So switching gears a little bit to talk a little bit about live video. This is something that I'm very passionate about. Obviously, you're very passionate about it. So for you, what do you feel is, you know, somebody who's ready to step forward on live video and they're saying, you know, what if I mess up, or I'm terrified, I don't know what to talk about. What would you say? What is the first step or the first place they've maybe worked through the emotional stuff? What is the first thing that they should really focus on in order to get started?
I think I just had Jen on my show talking about the structure a little bit, but I think it's really important to get all your fears out there, which is I'm going to be judged, I'm going to mess up the tech, I'm not going to know what to say, no one's going to tune in, all of those thoughts that happen to all of us. And then acknowledge that every single one of them at some point is going to come true. You're going to be judged, whether it's good or bad, you're going to mess up. Whether it's funny or not, you're going to have one viewer, you're going to have 100 viewers, you're going to have 0 viewers. Like, oh my goodness. And I think you really have to release your expectations on yourself. It's really important that when you start transitioning into visibility and live streaming, that you're operating with intentions. When you're attaching a positive emotion to what you intend to happen, and then releasing yourself from the outcome. Because so many times we go live and we're like, the whole time we're staring to be like, how many views, any comments, and da-da-da-da-da. And then you turn it off and then you're just like, oh, like your whole body posture changes. Yeah, you totally deflate and are like, you start doing the cycle. Why am I doing this? This is never going to work. This isn't going to make me money. Shut that thing up. I think as long as you switch your mentality and you go, my intention of doing live streaming is fill in the blank, and what emotion are you going to attach to it? Is it joy? Is it excitement? Is it relief? Is it passion? Is it, wealth? All these wonderful things, and then release it. Because Jen's an expert at this. You can always repurpose your live. For me, I'm there because I want to say what I want to say. Sometimes I have 100 viewers. Sometimes I have 1 viewer. I really couldn't care less. Like, of course, it's great if you're there and commenting so I can interact with you, but I'm capturing it and I'm using it on my Instagram. I'm using it, it on my Facebook group page or on my Twitter or whatever, because I'm more concerned about getting the message out there because I'm looking at my 1-year goal. Like, you really have to think of your audience in a much broader scale than the people that are tuning in live, because the main point is what's been put on your heart to get out there on your live, and then how are you going to get that out into the world? So I think, I don't know if that completely answers the question, but I think that's the mentality that you need to have to start transitioning into live streaming.
Yes, no, that's so great. And I love that you brought up repurposing, because that kind of blends right into this next piece that I really wanted to touch on with you. You know, you and I are both very type A. We love a good system. And, you know, whether somebody is super type A, or, as, you know, I've taken on the joke title of squirrel tamer, because that's pretty much it.
My dad says that all the time.
I'm like, are you
like,
suffering?
Squirrel.
I'm like, are you suffering from squirrel brain syndrome? I will bring you down and give you a nice checklist and a beautiful chart. And they're like, wait, how does your brain work this way? Yeah, so I attract a lot of squirrels, but also a lot of people who are super type A. So, you know, I think it works for both people. And, you know, a lot of the women that I coach, and I'm sure you work with as well, they're busy. They've got a million things to go on. They're most likely in the beginning or middle stages of growing their business, and they're trying to really build it to scale and figure out, how can I reach more people and spend less time doing it and be more efficient? So we're all about efficiency. So I would love to hear some of your best tips on repurposing your live video content.
Love it. So I think the best thing you can do is leverage your time. For me, I saw such a big difference, like I said, when I established my pillars. So you don't see me posting sporadic content. It's all around one theme for the entire month. So I lay out that theme. That's what my blogs are about, my podcasts are about, my lives are about, my video trainings are about, and my daily graphics and Instagram are about. So I build everything out about a month in advance and then schedule it all. So the only thing I'm really required to do is hit publish for my podcasts and my videos and my blogs, and then, like, you know, get on a live twice a week. So I think if you can come up with a system that works great for you, I think that that's the most important thing. If you really struggle with that, then you want to find people like me or Jen that teach workshops on how to do that and how to schedule it in advance. But the worst feeling is waking up every day feeling like you have to catch up.
Yes.
Feeling like, oh, I have to create this graphic and get on Instagram and I have to do this. Blah, blah, blah. It totally sucks your joy. And it takes you like 6 hours of your day, and not even a lot of that is productive. It's just scrambling around. So I think if you can really get a hold of your schedule, become extremely productive in less time, and get a system so that every month you know what's happening, you know how you can go into a live stream and really help somebody where they're at. That's made the biggest difference for me. And I noticed that when I started implementing that and having specific posts going up every day and having them all be around a certain theme, that really upped my expertise in the eyes of my viewers. So I think that that's a really, really important thing to do.
That is so key, that you become more of an expert in the eyes of your viewers, because so many people, they're actually afraid to just kind of pick a topic and focus on it for a month. And that's actually how I teach and do a lot of my stuff as well. So that's pretty funny. But
high five.
It's just, high five. It's just, it makes you the expert, the go-to person on this specific topic. People can find information. They can go to Google, they can go to Wikipedia, right? But if you can become the Wikipedia of your niche, you're going to win. Hands down, you're going to win. You obviously attack things with a plan and write everything out in advance, but do you outsource any of your graphics, or do you just sit down and batch create your content?
I'm in the process. Probably next month, I'm going to start bringing on some team members. I have in the past. I think for me, it's not too challenging to get all of that produced. Right now, I do have the time to do it. Eventually, I will not. So I think it really depends on you. The one thing I hate creating, hate it, are PowerPoints. Like, for me to create slides, I am going to give you a glare that you will not appreciate. I hate it. Like, I can create graphics all day long, but do not ask me to create a slide. Like, I hate it. So I hate it. I can absolutely outsource that. So if there's something that drives you absolutely nuts, definitely invest in outsourcing it. But I think for the most part, for me, I have a little workbook that I fill out for myself every month. What's the topic going to be? What's the theme going to be? What's each title for every single piece of content going to be? Because then when I go to create it, I have the clarity there. I can follow it step by step. It's so simple. So I really adore doing that.
Amazing. And I know one other thing that is your kind of area of expertise is, visual branding. Because that's a huge piece of visibility and just standing out in general. People being able to scroll past your stuff and go, oh, that's Michelle Lewis. I knew just instantly from the visual aesthetic. So If you want to quickly just kind of wrap this up a little bit, but give us some of your best tips on
I,
branding.
I did a live stream today, and I actually have this little thing with me, so I like take people through like, look at these
Oh
colors.
my
I teach on the 7 main colors that are in the light spectrum, and they also affect energetically the 7 different hormone producing glands of the body: pituitary, pineal, thyroid, mammary, kidneys, pancreas, and ovaries or testes. And so what's really great about my background is that I know exactly how color affects people when they look at it on screen, but I also know how color affects you in specific organs and how you can support that with your branding. So a great example is if you're a relationship coach or a trauma therapist or someone that's really looking to help someone transform their life, then a great primary color for you is going to be purple. And purple on screen is all about, it's called like the beyond the body color. So it's very good in like the mystical realm, the magical realm, and in the relations realm. And that's when you'll see it on screen in films like Chicago, when they would like highlight the person either wearing purple or lit in purple that was going to die in the film. So you'll know if someone's in purple, usually they're either going to have a transformative arc or they're going to...
That's so cool.
That's the way that you can look at it on screen. And then in terms of the body, purple relates to the kidneys, which is the organ that's our relationship center. So if you're a coach that's working in trauma or family counseling or relationship coaching, this is going to be a powerful primary branding color for you, because if you have it on all of your material, then what's great about when you choose your colors intentionally, it's like a lighthouse. It's constantly sending out a signal 24 hours a day, subconsciously attracting the people that are your perfect ideal client. So it's a really incredible way to look at color. I'm so passionate about it. And I can't tell you the amount of people that I've met at live events or online that know exactly who I am because they know my primary brand colors, like you said. And it's really powerful as an online business owner for someone to say, why did you choose blue? Why did you choose yellow? Why is this your brand color? For you to be able to use that color as a tool of why you have that there in your business to attract a specific audience. So I love it.
Yeah, being intentional about that is so important. And my business partner, Angie, and I, in our program, the Wellpreneur Business Academy, we were going through some information about branding and branding colors, and they were making their cover photos. And, just even talking about the color wheel and some of these things that, are pretty accessible pieces of color. They're like, what? I've never even heard of this. I didn't even know that was a thing. And, I love that example of the purple. I think that's so fascinating and so fun and surprising how few people are actually aware of some of those more intentional choices that people make.
Yeah. When you're your own boss, when you're an online entrepreneur, you have to use every tool in your arsenal. So why not be crazy strategic about your branding color? Like for me, you'll find my primary color is blue. My secondary color are yellow and red, which I'm wearing today. And so I use that in the branding for all of my courses. You'll find that my Life Reboot course is more blue, and my video and live streaming courses are more blue because that's more of a social media motivational center color. My branding course is more red because that's the creativity center. And then my systems course is branded yellow because that's the pineal gland focus center to help people really wake up and start focusing on more the brain to get those systems in place. So you can really empower yourself as an online entrepreneur by using color strategically.
This is so cool. How did you get into kind of learning about all these different areas?
Well, I think the film and TV is, pretty self-explanatory in terms of film school and watching my dad on set. But the other part was getting the doctorate in graphology, which is the study of how light affects the different hormone-producing glands of the body. And so when I was sitting there, doing my own rebrand and figuring things out, literally I was sitting here and like a light bulb clicked, and I went, oh my gosh, I know exactly what I need to know, and no one else knows this. I have to tell the world.
No one else knows.
It was such a light bulb moment. And I mean, I as you can tell, I absolutely light up when I talk about it because it's stuff that people need to know. You need to know and be able to use your brand colors powerfully. I mean, how empowering is it to just say, this is my color because I just love it. Love it.
I love it. And I love that you could just tell, just talking to you, how excited and passionate you are about this. And I think that this is just another beautiful example of how people can blend their expertise and just create this completely unique place for themselves in the online space. I guarantee there's no one in the online space who is teaching this the way that you do, because you have all of these really fascinating life experiences and stories and certifications and degrees in this area. So, oh my gosh, this is like, I love this. So amazing.
I love it too.
So, what are you working on right now, and what is next for you?
I am knee deep in live streaming month. I am creating a course called Facebook Live Fast Track, which is going to be so much fun, and getting people more confident with going live. It's the last course that I'm creating for this year, so I'm really excited to be done with that. And I'm definitely having a great time getting my podcast guests on, and just putting those all into monthly themes has been so powerful. So now my funnels are almost complete. I'm going to be going into Facebook ad strategies next month and bringing on a team to really help bring in a lot of traffic to that. And then I'm going to be transitioning into live events. So I know it's a really
very
fun time to be kind of exploring things and figuring out what the next step is going to be. As you know, we are constant creators. So it's like, even though we're creating something now, our mind is like way down the road.
Yeah. We're like 6 months away. Yep.
Yeah. I am finishing up live streaming month. I'm a little more behind than I'd like to be. So you can probably feel my type A stress, because I'm doing things more like the week before instead of the month before. Yeah. And I have the personality that I want to set everything up in advance and then just like coast through. Like, as
it's such a nice feeling when everything is set.
So good. I totally like go to the coffee shop and I just gloat like to myself, where I'm just like, everything's automated. Like, people are going through their sequences. This is amazing. So I'm finishing that up, and that is going to complete all of my online courses and, you know, the email sequences and funnels and stuff. And so next month is going to be Facebook ad strategy, which is going to be fun, bringing on that team and then transitioning into live events. So it's a big year ahead. I'm excited for 2017.
Do you know when you're going to do your events? Are they going to be like next year?
Oh my gosh, no.
Okay.
I'm starting small. In 2 weeks, I'm hosting a ConvertKit meetup in Los Angeles.
Ooh.
So, which is going to be really fun for people that use that email responder. Yeah. And so I'm getting my toes wet, and then I'm going to be discovering more about putting that together and bringing people in and all of that stuff. So it's a brand new horizon, totally scares the pants off of me, which is why I'm doing it.
Amazing.
So
Amazing. So you have all these incredible trainings and courses and things. Where can people go to learn more about you and connect with you?
You can absolutely come find me on my site at visibilityvixen.com. And if you want to check out all my free trainings, you can go to /gifts. Probably the link that I'm going to be giving you, Jen, is to my visibility training series, so people can get deeper into more of these psychological things that you can resolve, and how you can be much more clear in how you present yourself to your audience. That's always a fun one, and it's a free online course that I offer. I'm on Visibility Vixen at all the online places, and you can jump on over to the group. Shocker, Visibility Vixen.
Awesome. So I will link all of that up in the show notes so that you guys can grab all of that great stuff. Michelle, do you have any last words for us?
I think just do it, guys. Just do it. I know there's a million reasons to say no, but ultimately you don't want to have regrets when you're later on in life. You want to look back and know that you at least tried to reach the people that you're desperate to reach. People do need to hear your unique mission, your unique story. And remember that bravery is built. It's not just a natural occurrence. Like, it's something you have to work at every single day. So just have the bravery to do what 99% of people in the world are too afraid to do, and step out on your own and believe in your mission no matter what anyone else says. Be obsessed, be that forward-moving train, and start a movement. The world needs it now more than ever.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Michelle, for coming on today. You were absolutely amazing. And I will definitely be having you back on in the future. You guys, go check out Michelle's podcast, Visibility Vixen. It is the bomb. So I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.
Bye.
Did you enjoy this episode? Make sure to leave a review on iTunes and share this with an entrepreneurial friend. And remember, when you upgrade your expectations, you up-level your entire life. You're as ready as you'll ever be, so go out there and get it.